Hello, 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 everyone. It's Kate on day 6 of our 7-day series. The 7 mistakes we high achieving women make that prevents us from having it all. Happy, what's today? Tuesday, everyone. I did not come in and broadcast yesterday due to my schedule. This fell off. And what I want to talk about today is authenticity. For those of you who are driven, you know what it's like to be coming up the ladder, so to speak, in your career. And a lot of times we feel like we're being who they need us to be instead of who we are. And I don't know about you guys. I came up originally in my career in the 90s, like back when you wore pantyhose. Like it was a big deal for us to stop wearing pantyhose. So if you remember wearing pantyhose, you have to put your name in the comments. Just say, I remember wearing pantyhose. Because if you don't remember that, God bless you. That means you're younger than I am. But there was a lot of, women in the workforce. This is how you need to behave. Women, you cannot be emotional. You must wear pantyhose. You have to behave a certain way around the guys. You have to be like one of the guys, but not be too much one of the guys. Don't be too emotional, but don't be too assertive. That's bitchy. And there's this double-edged standard the double standard that we're constantly having to deal with. And over time, what happens is as you graduate college and you get your first job, and depending on the cultures and the companies and the bosses and the people that influence you along the way, a lot of us wake up in our 40s or 50s and go, I don't even know who I am anymore. I sure as hell don't like the woman looking back at me in the mirror. I mean, she's like an automaton. And I think I said this in one of the earlier broadcasts. I remember I had this assistant once who she was taking a bunch of time off because she was ill and a bunch of things were happening in her life. And she needed to take more time off. And she felt horrible asking me. She was this amazing assistant. And she went and asked my counterpart, a guy. She's like, I'm so nervous. She went and talked to a guy. Can you imagine? That was how horrifying I was. And she went and talked to the guy and she was like, I just don't want to go talk to Kate and tell her I need to take more time off. And he's like, what? He's like, Kate's the most unemotional person, in the office. She's more like a guy than anyone. And I'm like, I don't know if I like that. It kind of hurt my feelings. And he was right. I didn't know how to bring my authentic self to work. And so when you talk about having it all, it's like we talked in day 1, which is you got to have clarity. What does that mean? I want to be present. What the hell does that mean? I want to disconnect. Like we use these generic terms. I want to have quality life. I want to have it all. Like, what does that mean to you? And then are you going after that in a way that's authentic to you? Because what we find over and over again, we work a lot with our clients on this, is when we are moving in and up into, let's just say, the higher echelons of your career, right? You're moving up the triangle, and there's a lot fewer people that might be like you at the top edge of that triangle. And I'm not going to get into a big diversity and inclusion discussion right now, but you guys get it, right? And we think we need to behave a certain way. And one of the big points of discussion and some of the tools that we're always talking about is how to communicate authentically. How do you walk in the room, whether it's with a team member that you are managing, and have a big, hairy, scary conversation that might be controversial or might be kind of sticky? How do you walk in the room with, let's just say, a group of men? Sorry, guys, I know you guys are just being pounded right now, but a group of men who are used to communicating in a certain way. And now you're there and you don't communicate the way, or you don't want to communicate the way they communicate. How do you have your voice heard? And a lot of times as women, we have created these stories or these beliefs in our head about what we're supposed to be doing. Am I supposed to be like the guys? Should I swear? Should I not swear? I'm not saying all guys swear, but should I talk about sports? Should I not go talk about sports? Like, get all the stereotypical stuff out of the way, right? Should I bang my fist on the desk? If not, how do I get myself heard? And it's like, just be you. I can't tell you how many times I've told clients who are like, oh, I'm so introverted and I'm shy. And I'm like, great. Then you can be the amazing, introverted, shy, badass leader in your company. There's a lot of introverted, shy guys who are extraordinary leaders out there, but somehow it's okay for them to be that way and it's not okay for you. And it's just not. You get to be you. And so I think really not understanding what is authentic for you and how to show up authentically creates so much more stress, so much more pressure. And what it has is all these things I'm talking about over the 7 days, it just has this downhill effect. If I can show up authentically and feel really secure about who I am and confident with who I am in my workplace, then I have more energy. I go home at night and I have more energy for my family. I have more willpower. I'm not mentally as drained. I'm not second guessing myself. I'm not festering. I'm not stressed. And then what do my family get? Or, I'm not skipping the workout at the gym and eating, chocolate pie because I've had such a difficult day at the office. I'm like, no, I'm showing up authentically. I understand who I am. I understand how to navigate these situations and communicate authentically and make decisions from an authentic place and be valued for who I am, not for who I think everyone else needs me to be. And that is the downhill effect that gives you more time, more energy, more willpower, more headspace, less stress, less anxiety to go live your freaking life. And we started this broadcast 7 days ago talking about how what we all do is what? We run around and go, I have to have more time. Because if I have more time, then my life will fall into place. And it just doesn't happen that way, guys. Like you're going to run and chase time until you die. Like literally, you will be chasing time until you die. It's how am I showing up with the time that I have? We have clients who are working 60, 70, even 80 hours a week who are now going, I love my life. I'm highly connected with my family. I'm soft and fun and patient and energized when I'm home. I'm not missing my workouts. I'm fit, I'm trim, and they're still working a bunch of hours. It has nothing to do with time. It has to do with getting your needs met and being authentic and understanding how to make great use of that time. And making great use of that time is not being exhausted, not being overwhelmed, not being anxious, not being stressed, and just being true to yourself. And when you're doing that throughout the day, whether you're working an 8-hour day or an 80-hour week, you feel great because you're like, no, I'm being who I need to be. So what are some of the things that get us pulled off course? Well, we talked about the F word a couple days ago, right? Fear. Well, if I behave this way, what will they think? Well, if I say this, what will happen? If I don't step in and help my team with their workload, then they're going to fail and that failure comes back on me. We do so much of overstepping into different areas, or it's funny, we as high achievers, we either overmanage, we either get too involved because we're trying to control everything and just like, oh, we're just such control freaks, or we don't get involved enough because we're scared to open our mouth. We're scared to behave differently. We're scared to shift. Because like, oh my gosh, if I change, this stuff's worked pretty well to get me here. How dare I, change that? And that is like the death knell of ever having it all. Over and over again, we'll hear clients will tell us like, Kate, I always thought you could have it all, but not at the same time. And you showed us how we can. And I'm like, I know, because that's what I wanted. I wanted it all at the same time. I didn't want to like be healthy for a few years and then have kids and be unhealthy for a few years and be overweight while I was raising my kids. And then, put my marriage on hold and then have a great marriage, like I was like, I don't want to like have like these seasons of like the stuff I want. I want it all. I want to be healthy. I want to be fit. I want to be a great mom. I want to have a fabulous marriage. I want to have a killer career where I have impact and make a great income and have influence. Like that's what it feels like, but I want it all to flow together. So you've got to be really clear on what that looks like for you. And then you've got to show up authentically, because if I'm busy pretending to be someone I'm not, that's just never going to work, right? And I did that for years in my career. I mean, I would walk into a presentation or a conference room and I was like, oh my gosh, what chair should I sit in? Should I sit next to that person? Should I say that to hi to that person? Who should I be like cozying up to and saying hello to? I mean, I just overthought every single thing about my career. Over and over again. It was just exhausting to be me. I have no idea how I did it. I have no idea. Well, I do know how I did it. I burn out, right? And when I started just showing up authentically and going, okay, Kate, who do you want to be in a conference room? Who do you want to be in a boardroom? Who do you want to be as whatever the role was I was playing, as a fractional CMO to your clients? Do you want to be someone who's like looks like you have the stern look on your face and is really fierce? Or do you want to just be fun and approachable and create great strategy and have fantastic conversations with depth that actually move the needle, but is enjoyable along the way? I'm like, oh, sign me up for that one. But it took a lot of internal development and internal rewiring to get there, because the reason we don't show up authentically is we don't have a good role model or vision for what that looks like. I hate to say, we're starting to get more of that, but we don't really, because we don't see a lot of women, out in front of us who are role modeling that. Sometimes we do. But I know in my case, I didn't have a lot of role models. I didn't know what that looked like. All I had was what everyone told me I had to be, or what I thought everyone was telling me I had to be. And so that was really tough. So a lot of times we don't have role models. A lot of times we feel such inner fear of losing our success or failing or being judged or, messing up our reputation and our image and our brand, that we don't know how to start stepping out to be more authentic. We don't know where those boundaries are and where to test those boundaries and how far to take them. So we just never do it. And we just continue to go home and kick the dog, yell at our kids, and eat cheesecake. Which is like, I know I'm making it oversimplified, but that's not what we want, right? We want to have the space to enjoy fun moments at home with our children, the lazy fun moments, not the hurry up, get your homework done fun moments. Like, that's momming. Like I don't know, what do you want to do today? You want to play cards or do you want to go for a bike ride? Let's do both. Like, that feels so great. This past weekend on Sunday, I like to get up before my family does. And I usually naturally wake up with like the sun. So right now on the West Coast, the sun is up at like 4:35 in the morning. So I'm getting up really early. So I'll get up in the morning and I'll go get my French bulldog and kind of canoodle with him on the sofa and cuddle and like do some whatever I want to do for myself, for my own mental, emotional self, and read or journal or whatever it is. And I usually take the dog out, and then, but this weekend I was like, I'm just not only gonna take the dog out, I'm gonna take him for a walk, and then I'm gonna go get a coffee. And I just kept like adding on to like this like little journey I took myself on. And I was like, I didn't even take my phone. It was so awesome. My husband was probably wondering where I was when he woke up, but it was just this wonderful like moment of flow that I gifted myself. And I forget sometimes that most people don't live there. Like, I never lived in that space for so long, because I thought who I had to be was someone who was always doing something productive. Can you guys relate to that? If you can, like, write like me too, or productive or something in the comments. Like, I thought like I had to get up in the morning, and then there was going to be, 15 minutes for your mindset work. And then there's going to be 30 minutes for a workout. And then you've got to get the breakfast prepped. And then, and I just lived in such a highly structured, like, you can't sit on the sofa. There's no like taking the dog for a leisurely walk without your phone. What would everybody think? And I just couldn't do that stuff. And I just remember thinking that I wanted to share that with you guys. I was like, Sunday was like magic for me, because I just allowed myself just not only to have like the planned flow that I normally have planned, but the unplanned flow. And I think that's what we're looking for. Like, when you talk about enjoying your success and having it all, it's like just living in flow, just being relaxed, just knowing that there's challenges in front of you, and there's, odd personalities that we have to deal with, and people who get sick, and kids that need stuff, and whatever. But it's just the stuff. You just kind of like move through it, and you're just enjoying the ride. That's what we're talking about, guys. That is not about how do I like jam my work through the day, get as much done as possible so I can eke out some living at the end of the night. And again, that wiring that we all have, those habits, those beliefs, that internal that ego or that esteem that says it has to be a certain way, because if not, I'm so afraid of what others are going to think or what'll happen to me. That's what drives us off course from actually living that way. It is not the hours at the office. It's not the fact that you work in a male-dominated workplace. It's not the fact that you deal with, whatever, you're in the medical sciences or you're in marketing. Believe me, that was my big thing. I'm in marketing. You have no idea how hard it is to be in marketing. Blah, 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 blah. It's such a creative, like mentally taxing field. Like, that was my big BS excuse for a long time. Like, oh, it's so hard to be a marketer. I wish I worked in a warehouse and could shut the lights off at the end of the day. Well, I'll tell you what, like, you know what? We work with a lot of women who work in warehouses. It's no different. So we come up with all of these coping mechanisms to create the gilded cage we're all working so hard to escape, instead of going, wait a minute, like, I can actually show up more authentically and get what I want. That's pretty cool, right? Because that's in your control. You cannot always control your boss, your culture, the fact that you work in an industry that's totally fascinating but is male dominated, or whatever requires you to travel. Like, those are all choices we make, right? But not all of that can be controlled. But what you can control is you and how you show up in that experience to get what you want. That's authentic. So I hope this has been helpful for you. And I think if you are someone who recognizes some of those patterns in yourself, I hope you'll do some further research. We have all sorts of training out there, whether it's on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, or LinkedIn, whatever, and see what some of these things are that you could dig deeper in for tools. We've got a great training I can actually link in here in the comments. You're welcome to take a look at. And if this really resonates with you and you're like, you know what, it is time to have it all. I'm tired of settling for less. And you also recognize the downstream effect in that. That doesn't just impact you. It has a huge impact on you and the fact that you get to go live your life without regret. But it also impacts your partner. It also impacts your kiddos. It also impacts your dog. It also impacts your in-laws or your parents. It impacts your team. It impacts how you show up as a leader. Like, the evolution of self, I have to say, I very selfishly did it for myself, for my own, like, I want what I want out of this life. I didn't realize the butterfly effect it was going to have on so many people in my life, and certainly not now in what we do as a company. But it has great impact. Talk about having impact. Change yourself, you change the world. It's pretty cool. So if that's you, then I'd also suggest that you book a call with our team, right? Like, we are here to work with women who are devoutly committed to not settling and having a life where they have great impact without the trade-offs. If that describes you, let's chat. 45 minutes, an hour, we can see what's going on for you. If we can help, great. If we can't, we'll suggest someone else or someone, something else that's a better path for you. So anyways, I'll link those things below, but I'm really interested to see what some of the comments are today. And then also sharing this forward. There's someone else I know in your network who could use this, to share it to your network and say, hey, Kate's got some interesting points about authenticity. See what you think. Because maybe this is really going to resonate with someone else who is hiding behind, that mask, that corporate mask or whatever that we all wear, that we think we have to be a certain way. You really don't. You get to show up as you. And when you do, it's a hell of a lot more influential and fun. Bye, guys. I'll see you tomorrow for our 7th day of the 7 mistakes we make that keep